Hi, I'm Bob, and welcome to Between the Sheets, where we look at Microsoft Excel and related technologies. When you're collaborating on a worksheet with other people, you might want to lock certain cells so nobody else can edit them. Typically, you'll lock most of the cells on a worksheet, like names of people or products, and have only a few cells editable, like sales or cost numbers. Excel has a way to do it that works well, but it isn't very intuitive. Now, related to that, you might want to protect the structure of a workbook so nobody else can add or remove or reorder worksheets. Excel can do that too. So let's take a look, see how it works. Here's a simple worksheet. Some of what's on here we don't want other people to modify, and other parts of the worksheet we do want other people to modify. Any of the header stuff through row 4, we don't want anyone to change. Any of the stuff in column A, we don't want to change. Those are just all the towns that we're looking at revenue for. Row 22, these are all calculated, no need to change those. Column D is calculated, no need to change those. Now let's take a look at column B and column C. Column B, that's last year's numbers. That's in the books, so there's no need to change that. What we do want to allow our coworkers or collaborators, whoever they are, to change is what's in column C. So first thing I'm going to do, and this is not necessary for locking, but just to make things a little bit more understandable, I'm going to go and select the cells that we will allow changes to, and we're just going to give them a light gray background. That'll also make it a little easier for the purposes of training to identify what they are. I'll just deselect them so we can see here they go. Now, the idea behind locking cells is that most of the cells on the worksheet will be locked, and just those few that we allow changes to will be unlocked. By default, every cell is locked, and that might sound unintuitive. That might sound wrong because, hey, you could change anything you want. How is it that they're locked? And the answer to that is locking a cell has no effect until you protect the worksheet. And locking is actually part of cell formatting, believe it or not. So here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to select these cells that we will allow changes to, and I need to go to the Format Cells dialog box. A couple of ways we could get there. In the font alignment or number groups here, we could click the little arrow there. We could also press the keyboard shortcut, Command 1 on the Mac or Control 1 in Windows, and that brings us to the Format Cells dialog. And there's a bunch of tabs across the top. We want to go to the last one, Protection. There is no direct way to get to that tab of the dialog box. You have to go to one of the other tabs first and then go there. And you can see that these cells are locked. So I'm going to clear that checkbox, click OK. They're now unlocked. I could deselect if I want, doesn't make any difference. Now I have to protect the sheet. So what I'm going to do is on the ribbon bar, I'm going to go to the Review tab. And you see over towards the right, it says Protect. I'm going to click Protect Sheet. Now I could give this a password for the purposes of this video. I'm not going to do that, but you might want to do that. And you see there's all these choices that we can make of what will we allow users of the worksheet to do if they don't have that password. I'm going to leave most of them what they are, except for one thing. You see where it says Select Locked Cells? I'm going to clear that. I don't want somebody to be able to select a locked cell because that could be confusing, right? If you click a cell that's locked, you might wonder, hey, how come I can't make any changes? But if you can't select it, then you understand that, yeah, I can't make changes to that. So that's all. Now if I put in a password, it would ask me to confirm it. I'm not putting in a password, so I just click OK. Now there's nothing visually that's changed, but notice that I cannot click any cell that is locked, but I can click any of these cells. So I can say, oh, okay, that number is a typo. That shouldn't be 8904, that should be 18904. And I can make all of those changes. So now if I decide that I want to unlock the whole thing and I want to be able to make any old changes, I have to go and unprotect the sheet. So we're still on the Review tab of the ribbon bar, and you see there's Unprotect Sheet. You notice it's not highlighted or anything. I just have to carefully notice that it says Unprotect Sheet. So I'm going to click that, It's unprotected, and now you see that says protect sheet because that's something I can do. And now I can make any old changes. So let's say this one, oh yeah, that should be 19/5/23. That's a mistake. And now I can make any old change that I want. The second part of this, as I was saying before in the intro, is that we can protect the workbook structure. So right now we have one worksheet tab. I could go and create new worksheets. I can move them around. So for example, I can click this little plus sign and I can double click that. Maybe I'll call it expenses. Maybe I want expenses to be the first sheet, and I can drag it. So I could do all of this stuff that I want. Now, if I decide that I want to protect the structure of the workbook, I go up there. Remember, we're still in the review tab, protect it. And again, I can optionally assign a password. I'm not going to do it for the purpose of this video. It says protect workbook for the structure. Notice there's not a lot of choices here, like we saw in the previous dialog. I'm just going to click OK. Now, it doesn't look like anything has changed, and I can still type stuff in if I want, and I could go and I can make whatever changes here that I want. Oh, whoops, that's a wrong number. And so on. But what I cannot do is I can't add a sheet. Notice that plus sign is grayed out. If I try to reorder the sheets, that's grayed out. If I try to copy, that won't let me do that. If I right-click one of the sheet tabs, notice that a number of these choices are grayed out, so I can't move or copy, rename, or delete from the dialog box there. Notice that unlike Protect Sheet, Protect Workbook is highlighted. I don't know, maybe there are two different programmers created these two different icons or something. I have no idea. But if I decide that, yes, now I want to be able to modify the structure again, I click this. If I had assigned a password, it would ask me for the password. Now you notice Protect Workbook is not grayed out, and if I decide, okay, this is expensive, I don't really need this, now I can right-click and delete it. And it's gone, and I can add new sheets and all of that. Now, there's one little minor difference between the Windows and Mac versions of protecting sheets and workbook, and that is in the Windows version, if you go to the File tab and go to Info on the left side there, you see it says Protect Workbook, and there's this little drop-down, and Protect Sheet and Protect Workbook Structure are there as well. Whether you choose it from this little drop-down or if you choose it from the Review tab, it doesn't matter. They work the same way. Those options in the File tab are not available on the Mac version. One more thing about passwords. Password protecting your sheets and workbook structure is meant for a typical office environment, so your coworkers or clients or vendors don't make changes. But it isn't heavy-duty banking level of security because it's possible for a sophisticated user to crack it and even see the password in plain text. So until next time, my name is Bob, and this has been Between the Sheets.